for people just trying to navigate their career in tech and looking for mentorship or looking for someone who could hold their hands to begin the journey in tech. And today's speakers are going to really take us on a journey on how they started a career in tech and also how they could position themselves to lead the right road for them in their tech career. So I hope we're all excited for today's topic. And yes, so first of all, I want to briefly introduce the first speaker, which is Mr. Wolu. And Mr. Igechi Wolu is a business professional with over 11 years of experience, cutting across oil and gas, tech, logistics, and NGO, public policy, and research sector. He delivers services in project management, setting up running project management offices, strategic business development, and stakeholder management. Mr. Igechi is certified in PMP, PRIST2, Scrum Fundamentals, and Hybrid Project Delivery Framework in meeting and delivery stakeholder value. Currently is the Head Project Management Office at the Nigeria Economic Summit Group, an economic policy think tank, and a senior project manager and trainer at the Ogaga Joint Community, Newfoundland, Canada. So without further ado, let's welcome Mr. Igechi Wolu to start the presentation for today. Welcome, Mr. Igechi. Please, your video has to be on to begin the presentation. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thank you. All right, thank you, everyone. I hope my face can be seen clearly.
Yes, sir, we can.
Okay. All right, thank you once again. It's wonderful to be here and looking forward to engaging everyone. Thank you, Beacom, for this initiative, and I look forward to discussing and sharing our knowledge across. So without further ado, I will share my screen and my slides, and we'll just take it off from there. Okay, and unfortunately, my slide, once I put it on the presentation format, it stops moving. But just let me know if it's moving so we can work together. So just let me know if the screen is moving.
Yes, it's moving, sir.
Fantastic, cool stuff. Okay, so that is me. That is Igechi Wolu. You're seeing right there on the corner. And quickly, we have two speakers today, and my colleague and friend will be taking the second part, which will talk about certifications, the roles and responsibilities you can have in the tech industry. So I would approach it differently. I would talk about how I moved from an HR profession to tech industry and currently as head of project management at the NESG. So a little bit about my background. I had my master's degree from University of Glasgow, and I studied international business and entrepreneurship. I left there in 2019, and my first degree was in economics and law. That was from KNUST, Kumasi, Ghana. So literally, you might say this guy is schooled abroad. He doesn't know anything about Nigeria, but don't worry, we'll get to the nitty-gritty of it. At the end of the day, we want to learn, we want to all grow together. Certifications I've done in the past. I will come back to this area with time. So I just want us to have a basic overview. These are some of the certifications I've done. Some of them are trainings from LinkedIn to Udemy to actual certifications. So I will come back to these ones later on, so that by the time I start telling my story, you will then be able to correlate this area to the story, you know. Then my career summary over the years, I started my career from HR at DHL Supply Chain in Slough in UK. And from there, I grew. I left DHL 2011 and came back to Nigeria, started working with a company called Primus, where I became an account manager. and moved on between the ladder onto becoming head of customer project and strategy at Primus. Then later on, I moved to Almond Media as a project manager. Then from there, I also moved into EBS in Lagos as lead project manager. And then I got into NESG as team lead project management office. And after about 6 months, I got promoted to head of project management office. And at the same time, I started consulting with Ogaga Johnson Company in Newfoundland in Canada. So sectors I've worked in the past: supply chain, oil and gas, technology, business transformation, research, educational, think tank, and more recently, project management consulting. So that's my background in a nutshell. So I know we're talking about tech and transitioning to tech. Some people who are new or who want to know some of the things we do in tech might be wondering, I want to get into tech. What are some of the services? What are some of the projects we do there? What are some of the activities we carry out? There are lots and lots of things that we do in the tech industry, various things we do in the tech industry. But I just wanted to share a sample project which I worked on in the past, so that you have a clear picture or a basic idea of what you might be doing once you transition fully into tech space. This was a project I did for my former company, EBS, and we did it for a client based in Lagos. So we automated their loan application system. It used to take them about a week to approve loans for mainly members of the Nigerian police force. But they now came to us, we improved their system, integrated their solution into our own bespoke enhancement platform, and aligned them with some other service providers like Indicina, Credit Clan, Inlax, and reviewed their loan application process from 1 week to barely 30 minutes. And now it's even getting better. This was like about 5-month initiative with lots and lots of enhancements happening here and there. So in this project, I used Agile Scrum for development, was also hybrid for the entire project planning, testing, deployment, and reporting. So also I worked with business analyst, a product owner, tech lead, who was managing the developers and testers and all that. Whilst on the client side, head of product, client project manager, and all that. So this just gives you an example of some of the things you might be doing in the tech space for us who are into project management. I know some people might want to become business analysts, product owners, scrum masters. There are lots and lots of roles, maybe cybersecurity experts and lots. But for those who are keen on getting into project management, these are some of the things you might be doing in the tech space. Managing stakeholders, managing clients, integrations, software development, business transformation. There are lots of them. But this just gives you an insight, so that we can all be on the same page. So here we go into the nitty-gritty and the meat of today. So the question now is, how did I transition to tech? I hope you can see my slide, right? Everyone can see my slide.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, we can see your slide.
Yeah,
yes,
transition, yes. So this is where we meet this is where Malta meets bricks and all that. So like I said, I originally started my career back in 2010 with DHL Supply Chain in the UK. And for someone who started in HR, and now I'm head of project management, I'm sure you'll be wondering, how did that happen? How did you move? How did you transition? It all takes the mindset. It all takes the dedication. It all takes deliberate actions to tell yourself, I want to play in this space. I want to be better. I want to move into the tech industry. I remember back then, I used to tell a friend who had a small IT firm that I used to tell him, then I didn't know about product managers, product owners, developers. I didn't know much then. So I used to tell him that I want to work in the space where I can manage those developing apps. That was the only keyword I knew, those developing apps. So he was telling me, okay, go and learn website design, HTML, CML, those kind of things. But I knew those were not the things I wanted. I wanted to be like the person managing that environment, but I didn't know how to tell him that it's tech project management, it's maybe Scrum Master or whatever, because why? I was in HR. So my mind then was just HR. But something kept telling me that you can do better than just being in HR. You can do better staying in the forefront of where the activity is taking place, staying in the front of managing stakeholders. So whilst doing the HR job in UK then, I actually told my line manager that, sorry, madam, I want to move to planning, and she was like, why? You're one of our best hands. Why do you want to go to planning? We want you here. Just told her I wanted to experience something different. Unknown to her, she didn't know that, the UK and international offices, they're always open plan, so she didn't know that there's these guys that sit in our office. They're always busy, always doing one thing, the clout around them, the aura around them was totally different. And I was asking myself, what are these guys doing? What are their role? What are their responsibilities? So one day I now called one of them called Peter Travers. He's in Australia now. And I asked him, Peter, what is your job like? What do you people do? So Peter started telling me that, oh, he's a project manager. They do project management, process improvement, Lean Six Sigma, setting up new facility, new processes, new systems. And I was like, wow, this sounds like what I really want to do. So that conversation fired me up the more. So I went back to my line manager again. I told her, that planning I told you, I really want to go to planning. And she was like, okay, if you really insist, you can go. So I now went into planning, stayed there for some time, learned a few things, and family pressure, had to return back to Nigeria. Then one good thing happened. My family had a business, which we had then, is an oil and gas servicing company, which we call Primus. So I now asked myself, since instead of looking for jobs and running up and down, why don't I start from this space I have and start making changes? But because I didn't have much experience in project management or planning, my first point of call was to go back to HR again. So I started my HR work. One of my first projects was to reorganize the HR department, improve on it, come up with proper tools and techniques and standardize it to have international standard. And when you put that in the framework of project management, that is a project you've done. But I didn't know it was a project then. Then at the same time, I then moved into account management. The business said, we want to go into operations management and support. And I was like, they were like, okay, you head that organization. We had a staff strength of about 35, 38. So they told me, you drive it again because you did well in setting up the HR. So I set up that department, the licenses, the customers, build the business case, build the timeline of how we'll plan and go to market strategy. That again was project management. But it wasn't still ringing in my head that, man, you're already doing the project management activities. Back of my mind, I was still telling myself, maybe I just continue my HR thing. But at the same time, I was gradually leaving that HR space and finding myself meeting people, coordinating stakeholders, communicating, developing business cases, defending presentations, managing new project intake or new contracts and driving them to conclusion. And along the line, my other brother then now told me about Prince2. It wasn't really clear to me. So that discussion with him, he told me like, there's something called Prince2. It's project management. It will help you. You've got a passion in this field. Why don't you just do it? Then I enrolled for that course. I did Prince2. I didn't really use Prince2. Because it was my first time. So I didn't really use it properly. I did it and I just dumped it on the side. But as I proceeded, then I now got married. And my wife told me one day and said, guy, you're always talking about HR, but you're in project management environment without even knowing. You're leading projects, you're managing business development, you're driving initiatives from concept to closure. Why don't you just focus on that field? Maybe that's where God wants you to be. And that was like a spark. I was like, it's true. I've been doing these things and I just did not realize, And immediately I took a stock of myself. I said, okay, where am I currently? What are the skills I have? What are the skills I require to be in project management? I started researching. I came across PMP. That was about the same time I now noticed what they call PMP, And then I started studying to become PMP certified. From 2019, I had upskilled so much. That's why I said, when we go back, you will see the courses I did in 2019. I had researched my competencies. I had noticed the skills that I needed to excel as a project manager who wants to move into tech space. So I did lots and lots of courses. Let me just take us back a bit. So you see, so if you notice, most of them are 2019. That was the more like the awakening time for me. After I had a child with my wife, I was like, yes, I'm already doing these things. So now, but I'm not in the tech space. So what do I do first? So I started upskilling. And that is one way you can transition into the tech space. You identify your competencies, identify the gaps you have, and start plugging those gaps. And one of the best ways to plug those gaps is by training. Engage yourself in various, if it's for project management, for instance, or coding or software development, learn the skills, learn the courses, do the courses, acquire the knowledge, then start stepping further. Without these courses, it would have been very difficult for me to even excel in this field. So these courses helped to ground me in project management knowledge first, but there was still a gap. I knew the knowledge, I had studied them, but had never applied them in a tech space. So if they threw me into a tech environment, I would goof. I would struggle, I would mess things up. So let's go back here again. So from early 2019, I started researching more about how do I get knowledge? How do I get my hands dirty as a tech project manager? Because that's where I want to go. That is the target, So I know, sometimes God places men around you and you don't know those are your helpers, So my friend on LinkedIn, wonderful project manager, but for some reason, it just did not click that I could work with him. So one day I was chatting with another friend. The friend now told me, why are you struggling with getting project management knowledge? Speak to Darlington. Darlington is your friend. And I was like, Darlington? She was like, yes. So I called Darlington and I said, oh boy, what's going on? I heard you can groom me as a project manager. Darlington was like, well, no problem. If you're willing, just give me your time. And that is how my story just changed overnight. So in early 2020, I now started a mentorship arrangement with Darlington, who's my friend. Darlington took me under his wing, groomed me. I got my hands so dirty that I even got tired of the dirt on my hand. He groomed me properly into tech project management. At the same time, we are delivering projects for clients in Algeria, Yemen, Cameroon, Guinea, Equatorial Guinea. Man, Darlington exposed me to his work and told me, this is how you do project management in the tech space. And mind you, remember, I had started from HR, oil and gas. I had to forget all the things I knew, brought myself down to learn afresh. And that is the primary thing that can bring you to this environment, mindset shift. You forget what you know. Tell yourself, I want to learn. I want to grow. I want to improve. I want to move ahead in the next 2 years. I want to be at this pace as a project manager, a business analyst, software developer, or whatever field. Get the knowledge. If you're able to get mentorship or a body session, as they call it, get it. Even if it means you paying money for it, I beg you, learn it. Platforms like Beancom, they are there to step in to bridge those gaps. You may not be able to get the knowledge I have overnight, but once you have someone who can take you through that route, who has gone through it, I tell you, you would look back and be happy. You might think I have donkey years experience in tech space. No, I just only had project management experience, retweaked it, and through mentorship, I got to where I am today. I know the God factor is there. God helps you to move forward. But the fact still remains that mentorship was the deciding factor that helped me to get where I am today. So after I had my mentorship with my friend Darlington, before I knew it, I started getting interviews. But because I've done the courses, I've done the mentorship, the body session, I've gotten my hands dirty, I've delivered projects with clients, although from the back end, I was able to perform very well at interviews. And when I got an offer, I got about 4 or 5 offers, all tech PM at the same time. So I had to do pick and choose. So when I got into the field as a standalone project manager with my own team, my own budget, my own stakeholders to deliver value, I was confident because I had studied it, had applied it, and I'm now in the field. Yes, there are still some learning things for you to understand within different environments. But once you go through this approach, I went through the mentorship framework and the learnings I did from LinkedIn, Udemy, getting PMP, Prince2, I was better, I was more confident, and I was literally strategic to know where I was going to at the end of the day. So whilst working with EBS as their lead project manager, I was managing about 5 projects at the same time. There was the enhancement project, there's a NinePost project to business transformation project for NinePost. There was one with Nine Mobile that was supposed to come in just before I left, and a few other little initiatives that we're doing. But because of what I've learned, I was able to manage all those expectations. I was able to manage the stakeholders. I was able to communicate effectively with the development team. I knew the languages. I knew the framework for delivering IT-based projects, understand the milestones, UAT, IAT, and all those technicalities. I don't want to go into that because this is not a technical class, So all those discussions, I was able to now get into that field and deliver initiatives properly. And whilst doing that, NESG now came calling. So one aspect of EBS was that they wanted me to set up their project management office, an agile project management office particularly. So I developed the framework for delivering what we call waterfall projects, then agile-based projects to deploy product management, software projects, and all that. But for some reason, the business leadership was not really buying into it. So I had to deprioritize all that initiatives. But I had created the tools, the techniques, the framework. So at that time, I didn't know that there was also a move that God was telling me, you're going to somewhere else. So right at the same time, NESG now called and said, yes, we're looking for a PMO lead, team lead PMO who can come in and set up our PMO environment. So I took the challenge and I started with NESG. So in NESG, I now stepped the game further. I became a team lead PMO. I deployed the PMO environment, the tools, the techniques, started training stakeholders, started training heads of department on how to use our processes and tools. Then high-level strategic projects are then given to me to deploy, to manage, and make sure that we meet timeline. So my project at NESG cut across various aspects. We have so at NESG, my job now is not just to be a tech PM, but now I'm more of a program manager. So I manage a number of project managers Some of those project managers deploy projects in policy development, some deploy projects in software development, some are advocacy, communication, all aspects of project management. Everyone now look up to me as a project management professional who guides the entire organization. So I do more program management, portfolio management support, trainings, development. I even recently deployed a project management community of practice for my organization. So in all, yearly, I do roughly about 40 projects across about 8 programs, Then exceeding that, I also consult for the Ogaga Johnson company based in Newfoundland in Canada. This company, we help transitioning professionals who want to get into the space to acquire the skills, Scrum Mastery, business analysis, coding, product design to transition seamlessly. We also support on product development and all that. But before I let us go, before we go to questions and answers, I just want to say one thing. All the discussions would be futile if we don't have that mindset. I always tell those I work with and those I train, I tell it's a mindset thing. It's a mindset, it's a future forecasting. For us in project management, we forecast into the future. We ask ourselves critical questions. Where do we need to be in 2 years, in 5 years? I want to be a portfolio manager, but in the tech space as well. So I'm now grooming myself in that area. So you can look at my career and say, if this guy came from HR, waterfall, and he's now head of PM, you yourself can do it. It may not be project management, maybe BA, maybe product design, UI, UX. You yourself, you can do it. You can get there. You just need to tell yourself that I want to get there. How do I get there? Seek help, certifications, trainings, mentorship, body sessions. I tell you, with the grace of God, you would be there in no time. So I just want to thank you, everyone, for listening. I look forward to seeing you on the other side of the table or of the field, where you become professionals and say you attended this program and you listened and you excelled and you're now working assiduously to improve yourself. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for that insightful presentation. So for anyone who has any question for Mr. Ogechi, you have to wait till the second speaker has spoken. Then we will attract questions. That will be at the end of the whole presentation, so please be patient. If you have any question, just write it down on a sheet of paper or just write it on the chat box. So during the section of questions and answers, we're going to ask your questions. Thank you. So for now, we're going to have about 5 minutes break, and we're going to utilize this period to encourage everyone to go to their social media platform, either LinkedIn, Twitter, or your WhatsApp status, and just immediately just write a few review of what you've learned so far during the session of the first speaker, and also invite your friends to join the session. So we're going to give us 5 minutes to do that. And we're also expected to use an hashtag, which I'll be posting on the chat box very soon. So everyone is expected to post what they've learned so far during the session and also invite their friends to join the session. Please, I'm coming, give me some minutes. So the hashtag has been posted on the chat box. So please, we encourage everyone to use this few minutes to post what you've learned so far and also use the hashtag on your social media platform, inviting your friends to join us for the presentations. So thank you. If you have any question for the first speaker, you're encouraged to write it on the chat box. Or if you have a pen and paper, you can write it there and wait till the second speaker has spoken. Thank you. All right. So I'm hoping everyone has posted on the social media platform or tweeted about the event and used the hashtag posted on the chat box already. So if you've done so, thank you so much. And so let's begin with the event. So our second speaker is Mr. Ebong. Good afternoon, sir. Please, your video has to be on. Good afternoon. Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm fine. So I have to just begin by setting this bio, a brief bio about Mr. Ebong. So Mr. Ebong is an experienced and certified Agile Scrum Master, Agile Coach, Service Delivery Manager, and Agile Project Manager. He has led multiple local and remote development teams in both B2B and B2C settings to deliver user-centric products across multiple verticals like fintech, identity management, time and attendance, oil and gas, HR, and peer-to-peer lending, among others. Using frameworks such as Scrum, Kanban, and Scrubban, he is able to facilitate exceptional teamwork and successful project delivery. Currently, he is a Scrum Master in Quadro, a German restaurant booking platform. He also volunteers some of his time on adplist.org as a mentor to new and existing Agile enthusiasts. So, Mr. Ebong, thank you, and you can begin your presentation.
Hey, hello everybody. Thanks, Amen, and thanks Beancon for putting me on. I will share my screen soon. But before I start, I just want to do a very little exercise. It's nothing too serious, just trying to get some demographics. So using the chats box, for those of us in tech, please put in your current tech role. For those that are aspiring to be in tech someday, also put in the role that you are aspiring to, to assume someday. Just don't worry, I'm not going to ask any questions, just trying to see what the, what the spread is like for the next 2 minutes while I share my screen. So your current tech role, if you're already in tech, if you're positioning to join tech someday, what's that role that's that you would want to assume someday? Okay. Do we have any more? Okay. Just keep it coming, keep it coming. I'll share my screen soon and then we'll start. Just keep them coming. Okay, seems we have, okay, I think we have a lot of people, in the project management side. And oh, Scrum Master. Okay, nice. Okay, Dev, finally. All right, so I will share my screen now. Please let me know when you can see my screen and can start. Okay, can anyone see my screen? Everyone see my screen?
Yes, sir, we can see your screen.
Okay, so Ikechi has done a good job talking about his journey, from HR, having to transition to project management, and his aspirations to be a portfolio manager. What I will be talking about will largely be around what are the things we can do, and I will try to be as top level as possible, because I know that on this call there are people that are technical and there are others who are not technical. So I would try to be very generic as much as possible. Okay, so a bit about me. I'm from Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria. I'm currently in Berlin with my wife. Professionally, I've been a Scrum Master since 2015 and PCM certified. PCM is Professional Scrum Master offered by Scrum.org. For those that are Scrum Masters, you would know this certification. I've worked with Synfix. Started working with Synfix in 2014, actually. Worked with Carbon, and then part-time I worked with TopTal as well. And then contracts, I work with Symphony. And in Germany here, I work with Lendis, and currently I work with Quando. And yeah, you can connect with me on Twitter. I'm very active on Twitter. Also very active on LinkedIn. And on ADP list as well, which Amen mentioned, where I recently started mentoring people that want to transition to tech or those that transition to tech, but more from the Scrum perspective, Agile perspective. So if you're interested, you want us to have a chat, you can find me there, and you can schedule a session where we can just go over any topic you want us to go over. So yeah, that's that's a brief about me. In this presentation, it will be in 3 parts. The first part would be about what obtainable tech roles there are there. In today's world, there are a lot of misconceptions about who a tech bro is or a tech sis. The word tech, a lot of people think it's just a coder, and we're going to just explore some other roles. And if you find anyone that appeals to you, who knows, you can chase a career in there. And then we'll talk about some positioning categories. Disclaimer: this is fully my own category. It's not from anybody. It's not from any author. It's just the way, from experience, during my journey from 2014 to today, the different categories I think you should pay attention to when you're trying to position yourself for a role in tech. And then the last part would be practical to-dos. This would be very practical. These are things that I have applied. These are things that I have encouraged people to apply, and they've applied and it has worked for them. So practical things you can do if you want to chase a career in tech. Okay, now when people hear tech, like I said, a lot of people think, oh, I have to be a coder. Well, right now, while this is an integral part to coding, it is important to mention that there are other roles. Tech, in quotes, now I'm using in quotes because of what people connect to it. Tech has evolved from just being that developer who is in his garage, in a dark room, just on his black screen and his 3 screens typing, to an ecosystem where people look at tech as products, product development. And to develop products, tech has to go with products, right? And products go with tech. In most companies today, you'll find out that there are different departments, but they work very closely. So you see things like product/tech events, product/tech meetings and stuff like that. That's because things have evolved. And if you find yourself in any role in tech or products, for those that are, like Igechi mentioned, some people just have the passion to work in roles where they are creating products, to work in roles where they are involved in the product lifecycle. If you don't fancy yourself in tech, you can equally grab a role in product, and you'll be as much as a tech bro as anybody. So I listed some roles here. Scrum Master, Service Delivery Manager, Kanban calls it Service Delivery Manager, Scrum calls it Scrum Master, but anyone, this is one role you can explore. You have the developers, the popular ones, front end, back end, full stack. Front end are the people that are involved with coding, the ones you can see, like your Android, your iOS, your web. Back end are the guys that are, I like to call them the proud guys, because they can be very proud. But yeah, they're the ones that are creating the APIs, the backend systems, and full stack are just those ones that can do front and back 360. And we have the QAs, we have the functional QAs and the automation QAs. Functional QAs are those that just test the application by going through test cases, right? Automations are the ones that write scripts that test the system in an automated way so that it's faster. You have the UI UX experts. Here you have the designers. You have the ones that are involved in ensuring that the customer journey is smooth. People are not having issues, so they conduct a lot of research, they conduct a lot of interviews just to ensure that the experience of the app or the experience of the system, is working well and people enjoy it. You have the DevOps engineer. DevOps engineers are those ones that ensure. I don't want to go too technical, but basically, DevOps engineers are part of the product lifecycle. They're involved in ensuring that you can deploy your solutions, to staging, to production, and then you have a nice pipeline, so that delivery is fast and, and seamless. You have the security people, the guys that are responsible for ensuring that the system is secured, the spoof is hack-proof, people can't hack into the systems and things like that. You have the business analysts, which Igechi mentioned a lot. These are the people that are, they try to break down requirements to levels that developers can understand. So they do things like process flows, they do things like documentations, and have a lot of discussions with the stakeholders just to understand what exactly they want, right? So they break it down further. You have the DB admins, the ones responsible for ensuring that database is optimal, and just administrative rules, like ensuring it runs fast, ensuring it's always up and optimal generally. We have the BI data scientists, those ones that jump into data, try to make sense of it. Oh, okay, we notice that most of our customers are coming from this side, so we should focus our resources as a company into this city or this state or whatever. They just try to make sense out of whatever data it's in the database. We have the product owner manager, which is what Nkechi is. Product manager, project manager, people use it interchangeably, but there's a slight difference. But yes, people that are responsible for managing the products or that are responsible for ensuring that the project, if it's time bound, goes smoothly. And then I had content writers. These are the ones. Techies are known to be the worst people when it comes to English and naming things. So content writers are always there to ensure that the tone of the company is consistent across, all their websites and all of those things. So content writers give the company a voice, sort of in their language, in their tone, in things like that. So this is not all the rules you can have, but I just did this first to let people understand that it's not just being a developer. Yes, you can be a developer, but not everybody has the patience. I tell you, it's a lot of patience. Not everybody has the ability to pay attention to more details. And there are other rules you can explore. If you find yourself in any of these rules, it's great. It's part of a community, an ecosystem, like I like to call it. So I did this because I know that there are a lot of people here who are not in tech already. They're thinking, okay, I want to be in tech. I want to create product. I find it interesting or whatever. There are a lot of rules, right? There's room for everyone. So there are a lot more rules, like the research and the research people, etc. But just decided to put this out here. Okay, now in terms of how to position yourself in a role, in a role in tech. Now I put in three parts. The first part is visibility. Sorry, the text up here is wrong. The first part is visibility. Now, what do I mean by visibility? It's not just enough to be doing some good stuff, right? The question is, how many people know this, right? A lot of people are very good developers, very good product managers, very good QAs, but their presence is no one knows them, right? The second thing is credibility, right? How am I able to prove or convince that I am as good as I am, when people see or hear about me? So it's one thing it's not only good to be visible, but when people see you, how are you able to pass that message as quick as possible that you are actually as good as you say you are, or as good as you want them to think you are? And then the third thing is your zeal to learn. People these days want to employ people that have a very high ceiling when it comes to learning. So you need to position yourself in a way that people know you're constantly learning, right? Because in today's world, everybody says they're agile, right? And one of the pillars of agile is continuous improvements. So you need to be able to position yourself in a way where when I'm talking to you, I'm trying to take you up in a role in tech. I understand that this person knows A, B, and C, but he or she is very open to learn X, Y, Z, Now, we get into the practical tips on how to position. And I broke this down into, the three different parts. And I'm going to spend the most time on this, obviously, because I think this is the main part of my discussion with everyone here. Now, in visibility, you have follow tech recruiters on LinkedIn. Now, this advice is very, very, very practical. And I'll tell you the logic behind why you have to follow tech recruiters on LinkedIn. Recently, a lot of companies have stopped recruiting tech roles. And the reason why I think they've done that is because they want to ensure that they are getting the best. And most times, maybe some HR teams are not the best when it comes to employing tech roles. So what they do is they outsource the tech roles to recruiting companies to look for Scrum Masters or look for developers. For those of us that are open in LinkedIn, you notice sometimes a recruiter hits you up on LinkedIn and we're looking to fill up a role, blah, 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 blah. Now, if you don't have a lot of connections with recruiters, once they get these openings from these companies, they first turn to their connections, right? And then if they can't see in their connections, they now blast an email to everybody on LinkedIn saying, putting some criteria and gets people. So one of the hacks for me that I've found that has worked a lot for me lately is following tech recruiters. A lot of them have thousands of, or not thousands, hundreds of jobs that they're looking for people to fill. And you have to put yourself in front. You have to show, I'm here, right? And one way you can do that is to follow tech recruiters on LinkedIn. The next thing is to join communities. Now, in fact, these days, some communities are hubs for job openings, right? Join communities on Slack, join communities on Twitter, join community any other place you see, any other community of practice that you can join. This is very good because when job openings come, a lot of people prefer to get someone who is in their community of interest or community of practice. So if you're in these communities and then maybe there's a HR there, or maybe someone who's looking for the role directly drops the application and you apply from there, the person knows that you people share a lot of things in common and you are well knowledgeable. Again, this is all about visibility. You want to be sure that you have presence in the places that interest you. This is even more important for the non-techie roles like Scrum Master, project managers. Most of the times it can be hard to, for a tech role, for example, when you're doing an interview or when you're doing the interview, they just give you coding task. But for a project manager, for a Scrum Master, it's more complex because they're trying to ask questions. So you gain a lot of advantage when you are in communities where you've already shared common interests, and it's easier to judge your knowledge of the topic being discussed, right? The last one I have here is set up your professional channels properly. This is also very important. And this is maybe the people that I find that make this mistake a lot are the devs. I have a lot of dev friends that I've worked with over the years, and they are some of the best developers I've worked with, or some of the smartest ones I've worked with. Maybe let me try to not use experienced people now. But you go to their LinkedIn and it's empty. The only thing that is there is their secondary school, and then the fact that they are volunteering in Jet Club in secondary school, and that's all in their LinkedIn. No one is interested with who, if you're in Jet Club in secondary school, right? You have to project yourself properly. You have to show people that, okay, even if I don't have experience, I have these certifications, I've done these trainings, I've done these things that show that I have these skills, right? You have to set up those channels properly. And apart from just setting them properly, if you're looking for a job, for example, it's a no-brainer that you have to set the open to jobs thing. There are things like that that have been done on LinkedIn to ensure it's easier to find matches when there are roles to be filled. So I use just LinkedIn. I know there are other ones like Glassdoor and the rest, but for me, I find LinkedIn remains one of the most authentic sources to get jobs, because for some reason, HRs just, when they have leads from LinkedIn, I think sometimes they favor those links more than the other channels that we have. So I narrowed down my points to just ensure it's properly set up. It's showing your academic background, any experience you've had. And for people that have experience, obviously, ensure you put a lot of experience there and your achievements. But for those that are just trying to transition, make sure if you've done courses, if you've done certifications, those things are very there, they're allowed, right? And then your skills are there. Now, you don't need to be in a tech role to have tech skills, right? Especially the soft skills. Things like communication, things like attention to details, things like being organized, collaboration. These are qualities that you can have working in literally any role. So you don't necessarily need to be in tech to have these skills. So put those skills out there. If you can get people to recommend you on LinkedIn, all of these things are very important. I'm saying this because in my time as a Scrum Master, as a lead Scrum Master, I've had the opportunity to employ Scrum Masters into Carbon. And one of the things that I look out for is how well your LinkedIn is, because I can't start, talking to everybody I see on LinkedIn, right? So your LinkedIn is almost like a door, before I now talk to you and understand, okay, this person knows this, person knows that. So it's very important for you to focus on your visibility, how people see you, because most of the opportunities you don't miss them because during the conversation, they didn't like you. You miss them because just them seeing the door to the house, they didn't like what they saw on the left. So you have to pay attention to that. The next thing is credibility. Again, like I said, you have to show that even if I don't have the hands-on experience in these things, I know them, I understand them. And the first point here is certifications and professional trainings. Udemy courses are good, Coursera courses are good, Pluralsight and all of these other tech courses are good. But if you can, take a step further by doing some certification courses. Most of the tech roles today have standard certification courses that are globally recognized. Take your time to research the ones that are globally recognized so that you don't do a course and then you're applying for a job in the UK and then they're trying to understand this thing looks like a Lagos certificate. Like, what the hell is this? So ensure that you research properly. It's globally recognized, or even if it's not globally recognized, it's at least in some areas, because there are some that are more recognized in UK than in US, or US and UK or Nigeria. Just do your research properly based on your career, what you see yourself, where you see yourself being in 2 years, in 3 years. Do the certifications that will help you in that. Yes, I understand that some of them might be expensive, unlike the Coursera's and Udemy's and Pluralsight, but it's good investments, trust me. Most of the opportunities I get, and I'm talking about Scrum Master now, in the last 6 or 7 months, I don't think I've seen any Scrum Master opening where one of the criteria was, or where they didn't have a certification criteria before you can apply. So yes, it's expensive, $200 or there, I can't remember. But these things help you and show that you know what you're trying to apply for. So take them very seriously. Professional trainings, maybe not so much for your CV, but for you when you have these interviews, some recruiters focus a lot on asking you questions like, oh, what is this? What is that? These trainings will help you, defend your knowledge. The second thing I said here is the CV. I won't mention the name of the company, but recently I was involved in recruiting someone for a personal project I have with a friend, and we use an academy, sort of very popular one in Lagos State. And of course, the company sent us some CVs, about 3 or 4 CVs, and immediately I opened them and just closed them. Like, this is a mess. Your CV is also very important. A lot of people will tell you that some companies, the bigger companies, obviously, they don't even do the first stage manually. They use the system that looks for the buzzwords, and then if you have the buzzwords, then they go to the HR stage where they now look at it. The CV has to showcase your strengths, and if you have experience, your experience and accomplishments. Even if it's not in tech, even if you're transitioning to tech role and you don't have any tech experience, I think you should really laud your accomplishments, because what people want to know is, I know you're smart, I know you graduated with the first class, I know you have these skills, but the times where you've worked, well, what did you accomplish? You have to not be shy to blow your own trumpets, in quotes, but at the same time you have to be careful not to sound like a me guy. There has to be a balance between showing that you're a team player and showing that even as a team player, I accomplished this, right? You have to show those things in your CV, as well as make it as minimal as possible. My CV is 2 pages and recently entered 3 pages, but I can understand because I have 7 years of experience. But there's no reason why you should have just a year experience or 2 years experience and your CV is more than 2 pages. What story are you giving us there? In fact, if I can advise you, I'll tell you, just put your university or your tertiary institution, and then forget your secondary school, forget your WAEC. Nobody cares about these things. I'm speaking particularly to those in Nigeria now. But yeah, so things like that, make it as brief as possible, as attractive as possible, simply, very simple, that you can pick out the key things as quickly once you look at the CV. There are a lot of apps where you can sign up and you see a lot of good templates. So invest in those things. Those things help a lot. And most important, ensure that you are really showcasing your experience. You are really showcasing your strengths. If you don't have the experience yet, you're showcasing your certifications, your trainings. These are for cases where you just have maybe just theoretical knowledge of the role. Recently, I approved someone from the risk team coming to the engineering team. And she had no experience, right? As a Scrum Master, she had no experience, but I noticed she had a PSM. I noticed she had another certification that even I am aspiring to get. So yes, I understood that the hands-on experience was not there, but at least she should have credibility. She had done some courses. She's zealous to learn. She wants to improve herself. And then that for this person, it's just to show them the ways to do things in details, but they already have the overarching idea of the role. So it's important. And the last one is zeal to learn. You need to invest a lot of time in reading. Medium posts, blog posts, online articles, thought leader opinions. This is even more important for people that are not technical, because I think in the non-technical, when I say non-technical, I mean you don't code, you are more theoretical than, what I mean. When you're in interviews, most of the questions you get asked are questions that bother around what is your opinion on this. They hardly ask you things around hard yes or no questions. Most of the questions they ask you are always your opinion, and then they gauge your understanding of the subject matter. They learn if you can break down complex questions and simplify the answers. And for you to be good at this kind of things, you need to be open when it comes to reading. I read a lot of Scrum articles. I like Scrum.org a lot. This is for Scrum Masters and for POs. I read a lot of Scrum articles, and I read experienced Scrum Masters. Things like, how do you handle estimation? There's no right or wrong answer, but you're going to get a lot of opinions from different perspectives. And if I'm in interviews and you ask me that question, I will give you answers that are very broad, and you would know that I have a wide spectrum of the subject matter. And it's the same thing for other roles as well. You need to invest a lot of time in learning, and this would help you when you are in those interviews or when you're in those initial discussions. People are trying to understand, pick your brain. You have a wide understanding. I'm not talking about by the book now. We're not by the book knowledge. We're talking about, SME experts, SMEs opinions on topics, and you're able to, break those things down. I try to limit my practical tips to these ones. There are other ones, but other ones are more for people that are already experienced. So, for example, a point like having a portfolio. But I decided not to put that because, if you are just starting off, your tech career, then maybe your portfolio at this point is still very empty. That's why I didn't put it here. But there are other things you can also practically do, and that will position you in a very nice position for a tech role. And any of these that you can do, maybe you might not be able to do all, but if you can do most of these things, trust me, with luck, maybe, and with the right connections, you're going to get that call, you're going to get that position that you're fighting for. And yeah, that is all I've got. So Amen, I'll pass this back to you.
Thank you so much, sir. That was an eye-opening experience for me. So, okay, before we start the questions and answers, I just need to post a video real quick. So please be patient. Can anyone hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, awesome.
I am the professional services lead at Pincom Dev Center. Bincom Dev Center is a multi-location tech training and development center in Nigeria, and our major objective at Bincom Dev Center is to produce over 1,000 quality tech individuals every year. These people are highly employable, globally attractive, and highly sought after in the tech ecosystem. You ask why, right? Yes, tech talents are in high demand in international communities such as the US, the UK, Canada, and France. These countries have made policies and pathways to enable immigrations for tech talents. And guess what? Average salaries of software developers are as high as £35,000 per annum, and this is at the entry level. The opportunity for tech talents are endless, both locally and internationally. This means that the tech ecosystem is one of the highest employers of labor in Nigeria. Yet, many tech companies say that they are not able to find the right tech talents that they need. This is why we started the Bincom Global Tech Program. The program focuses on 3 major pillars, which are learn skills, gain experience, and gain exposure. The program spans between 1 to 2 years, and during this period, trainees are taken through an in-depth curriculum in their chosen tech tracks, and also in development of soft skills required for them to become globally attractive in the tech ecosystem, both locally and internationally. This program helps trainees to learn tech skills, gain relevant tech experience, and also exposure to the endless possibilities and opportunities available in the tech ecosystem all over the world. Listen to some of the testimonials of our past and the exposure. The company is also willing to invest their money on you. It doesn't get better than that. What are you waiting for? Hurry up to bincom.net/globaltech and register to launch your global tech career. Thank you.
So thank you all very much for being patient to watch the video. So now it's time for questions and answers. So if you have any question, you can write it on the chat box, type it on the chat box, or just raise your hand so I can call you. Okay, OJ, can I ask a question now?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Amen. Special appreciation to both speakers. They've really done justice to these events. I mean, I've really learned a lot. I mean, there's been a whole lot of kind of knowledge gap that has been filled today. So I must really say a big thank you to them. So to my question, now my question is directed at Mr. Obong, right? Ebong, sorry. So, when we talk about having diverse of, roles within the tech ecosystem, and you don't really know how to, you don't have to, know how to code or be so technical and for you to get a tech role. So about 2 weeks ago, I attended an interview, and it's tech, it's Scrum basically for Scrum Master's role. And at the end of the day, I was being asked some technical roles. My understanding about being a Scrum Master basically entails that, you coach, facilitate, and manage a Scrum team. So, well, at the end of the day, they were asking me technical questions like, talking about some in-depth stuff about API. And, well, at the end of the day, I was just thinking that, okay, so I operate, at the business, aspect of tech. So in this situation, what are we supposed to do? As a non-tech in tech, are we still supposed to, go and start learning technical stuff so we can be able to get a job, or just stick to just understanding the basics of what we are supposed to, do to deliver, as a Scrum Master? So that's my question. Thank you.
Okay. So first of all, there are 2 types of teams that I've worked in. I've worked in teams where the Scrum Master is just focused on processes and how the team is efficient. And I've also worked in teams where the Scrum Master needs to assist the product owner and so that the team makes the wise decisions and things like that. Now, from my experience, in my own case, I am technical. No, I'm not technical in terms that I can code, but I'm technical in the sense that I understand technologies, I understand the basics. And what I always advise Scrum Masters is that if you can, I recommend that they learn these basics, because it always helps you. One, when you're having discussions with developers, there's something about developers I noticed. When you're talking to developers and they feel that you don't understand what they're talking about, they get frustrated and almost cut you off that communication. And then you find yourself as a Scrum Master being outside the team because the devs don't trust to understand whatever the hell they're saying. So what makes my job easier for me is, my case is different, but what I'll advise is you learn the basics. The basics doesn't mean you go learn how to code, no, but understand things like algorithms, understand things like APIs, how systems communicate, for example, front end, back end, APIs, what are APIs, what's CI/CD, what's deployments. These are just concepts that you can learn whether or not you can code. Coding is now a different ballgame altogether, but the concepts around it are things that I would advise you, and I've always advised any Scrum Master that I've worked with throughout my career, is once you learn those things, it makes the task easier. I've also been in Scrum Master interview, they asked me similar things as well. But what they were trying to gauge is, when you eventually become a Scrum Master, would you be able to hold sensible conversations with the devs, or will you just be there to be organizing meetings, stand up, and then retrospective, and then that's all you do, right? So having that knowledge gives you an edge in the sense that you can hold sensible, you can facilitate sensible conversations, and then you can ask questions. So let me explain that ask questions part. So there are times when you're in a meeting, and maybe it's a sprint planning meeting, for example, and then the team is talking about, oh, okay, we think this is what we're going to do for this to work. And you're just there thinking through the process, and then next thing you bring up a question that you don't have an answer to, but you bring up the question, and people are like, oh, true, yeah, we need to cover that, right? So being there and having that knowledge helps you to think in their line and bring up questions, bring up conversations. So I think it helps, but understand the difference. You're not learning how to code. You're learning the concept around product development, the technical concepts behind product development. It really helps, if that answers the question.
Okay,
right,
just to support what Ebong just said, sometimes you don't necessarily need to know how to write those codes, but you need to speak the language of the environment. I mean, if they are talking about API integration and consuming APIs, you need to just know what they're talking about. You can even do like basic program. I advise that you can get like a basic programming knowledge. I'm actually doing basic programming because my next role has to do with a lot of working with technology products, technology teams, and I really want to understand and integrate with them. As a Scrum Master, your target is to ensure that you are communicating with the team. The team understands you understand them. When they are having challenges that is blocking them from moving to the next phase, they want you to understand what those blockers are, where they're happening, and how you can heavy lift for them. So a basic programming language or just knowledge of what they're saying is essential, because at the end of the day, you won't be sitting down to write the codes, but when they speak and they relay the blockers or risk or impediments that are on their way, it just makes life easier that you know what they're talking about and you're not lost in the conversation. So we in PMO kind of environment, one of the things I train people on project management or in my office is that so that we all understand the same language. When I say BRD, you should know that I'm talking about business requirement document. When I say PSR, project status report, when I say PCR, project change request, so there's that ease of communication with the team. The team is aligned, we're speaking the same language, we know where things are happening, it just makes life easy for you. In the long run, it will help you. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. So this question is from Olivia from Mr. Igechi. Why get a training in UI UX? That's the first question. I don't know if you want to answer it one after the other, or wait till I list out your questions.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, I don't mind. Yes. Okay, so UI UX, you can get a training in UI UX. It depends your background. If you're working in project tech space and you're a project manager, sometimes it can just help you to have 1 or 2 extra skills. For instance, me as a PM, one of my strongest points is managing stakeholders, communication, supporting in gathering requirements, So as a PM, if you have that extra skill of UI UX, you can function literally like a business analyst. So you can elicit the requirements, you can map them, you can flow them, you can create prototypes that the users can, or the business owners can test and feel, and when the users are telling you their requirements, you can just sketch the user story or the user journey, from a piece of paper. It just helps you understand the end-to-end product life cycle, what the user wants and where he or she wants that product to go to. You can do it. I'm not saying get so deep into it, just get the basic knowledge if you're specializing in project management. So I think that will really help you, especially in giving that extra knowledge, especially now that interviews have become so stringent, there's so much competition, that could be a game changer for you. A game changer for me is that I have strong knowledge in PMOs, so when I go for interviews, I realize that most organizations want to standardize their project delivery lifecycle, their framework. So when they come and see my experience as a PMO leader, it triggers the interest to see, okay, if we bring this man in, he can help us standardize. He can help us manage programs, portfolios. He can help us give us that bird's eye view that the stakeholders or the senior business leaders need to see where things are, manage constraints, ensure that their resources are available to drive various initiatives. So for all you know, that skill can be a game changer for you in the marketplace. And yeah, so it's literally I answered the second one and the third one as well.
Yeah. So the fourth, I think you've answered the third question already.
Yeah, and yes. You said the fourth one, say how would you advise for? Yeah, it's like I said, it's a wonderful skill. You can even take it forward by acquiring core business analysis skills, because somehow they go hand in hand. Business analysts sometimes have to prototype. In my organization, I function sometimes as a business analyst because I'm doing a project for my HR department, and I had to work with my PMO analyst to supervise her, do some process mapping on how use people who sign up to become volunteers at the NESG, how they travel from entry, they are onboarded into a policy commission, and they start living their life cycle within the policy commission from there. For a standard PM person, you may not have this experience, but for someone who has process mapping, business analysis, UI, UX, understands journey, customer journey, you can just see where everything starts from and how it ends. Design it, the users or the stakeholders approve of it, then you deploy it to the development team to build it. And the same thing also works for me in the PMO. All my processes, how to initiate a project, how to execute, everything. I have process maps, process flows for everything. So I can give it to you, you pick it up and read it, and you know what to do at every point in time. So trust me, it can be a game changer. It can help you deliver better in the long run. Hope this helps, Olivia.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
sir.
it did. Thank you very much, Mr. Walu.
Okay, I think this other one is for me, right? What can you call yourself a Scrum Master? That's really a tricky one. So what you call yourself and what other score, you're probably different. But what I would say is, for me, I think the bar is now higher. Back in the days, what it meant to be a Scrum Master was if you are a PM or if you're a BA, then you can just say, I want to be a Scrum Master, give me a team. Back in the days. I mean, even in my case, I used to be a PM, and then I was a BA, and then I transitioned to being a Scrum Master. I just started facilitating teams. But I think the bar is higher now. Today, before someone can say, oh, I can consider you a Scrum Master, is one, you have read and understood the Scrum Guide. Scrum Guide is very small, so it's not a big. It's very interesting. I think it's 11 pages. Very interesting and very straight to the points. Read and understand it because it's like the basics, like the foundation. What is Scrum? What is Agile, and pillars of Agile and things like that. And why I say the bar is higher now, because I think you have to be certified. You can get rules without being certified. I'm not saying you can get it without being certified, but just being certified is almost like the prerequisite these days to get in the Scrum Master role. And I would say the third thing is you should have worked with a team to create a product somehow. I know people that were BAs in the Scrum teams, not Scrum Masters, and then when the Scrum Master is not there, they are able to assume the Scrum Master role. I know developers, especially the senior ones, like the lead developers, for example. In fact, I know some companies where the lead developer is the Scrum Master, for example, right? But I think if you're going to look at it from, if I, as a recruiter, I want to get a Scrum Master, what are the things I would look out for as primary? One, I need to be sure that you understand the Scrum, but you understand the foundations of Scrum. I need to understand that you're certified, right? PSM, CSM, it doesn't matter, but you're certified. And three, I need to be sure you work in a team in any capacity, because being a Scrum Master is understanding what it means to work in a team. You are leading the team, but you're the servant of the team. And it's very buzzword, servant leader, but you're literally a team member trying to help the team, but you're not wanting to take the shine. You're not the leader. You're just trying to help them. How can I work for you? How can I remove these issues? How can we be better as a team, right? So for me, I would say those three things. Again, like I said, I think it differs from people, from person to person, what they call a Scrum Master. But for me, this is like my bare minimum standard. If that helps, Olivia.
Okay, I think there's a.
Let me just add to that. This is a very wonderful question, and if you've been attending interviews, like I said, the market out there it's crazy. There's so much competition. So if you've been attending interviews, you realize that as a project manager working in the tech space, you may not be a standard Scrum Master, but there are Scrum values you just need to understand, and it will make your life better and easier. Ebong talked about being a servant. You will not be building the deliverables. You're not actually doing the work, because the workload you are already carrying as a PM is a lot. So understanding some basic Scrum values, really will help you manage your team. For instance, there is a blocker. Sorry if I use some of these technical terms. There's a blocker or there's a challenge, and the team cannot move forward. As a PM, as a basic PM or a standard PM coming from some background, you may be forced to bring your own solution and impose on the team. But Scrum value tells you that, no, the team should collaborate. The team should brainstorm. The team should work together to come up with a solution. You, the Scrum Master, or even the PM, my job is just to bring the team together and watch them collaborate and come up with a solution. And trust me, when you do some of these principles, you realize that the best solution comes through. And because the team have brainstormed to come up with those solutions, they own it, they commit to it, they drive it, and they deploy it effectively. For instance, I give you an instance. In my office, we're about deploying a project, and this project, you will see it very soon. It's a Twitter project. There was a challenge with the IT team. The IT team were raising some risk. I had seen the risk as a PM, but the project sponsor department hadn't seen the risk. So all I did was to bring all parties together, brought in the tech team, brought in the sponsoring department, the contact or the leads in those departments, and just took a back seat. And the parties started brainstorming. We'll do this, we'll do this, we'll do this. By this time, we would have done this. And at the end of the day, we agreed. All I asked my assistant to do, capture the action points, cascade it after the meeting, and watch them run. And that was it. So all I did was just to take a small Scrum value, help the team collaborate, help them to brainstorm, agree on a solution, and they deployed it. So it's a wonderful skill that I think all PMs should literally have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I saw someone raising his hands up. Okay, I think we have a question on chat box from Jacob. He said, please, can the speakers help me with the requirements for this role? Technical manager. Is it technical project manager or just Jacob? Hello, Jacob, are you there?
Just technical manager.
Okay. So anyone can take it. Mr. Hebong, you can take the question.
No, I think I'll leave this for Igechi. This is more his.
Okay. All right. Igechi.
I'm even trying to understand what field is this one? Is it oil and gas or what?
Okay,
Jacob.
okay. So let me try to answer this. So when you say technical manager, I'll answer it as if you're saying technical product manager. Now, generally, product management, I think, is divided into three, I think. So you have the marketing product manager, you have the technical product manager, and can't remember the third one. But generally, as a product manager, you are a 360 guy or girl, right? You are looking at the marketing, you're looking at the tech, you're looking at the business, you're looking at the sales, you're looking at everything as a product manager. However, there are some product managers that focus on one part more than the others. So for example, a marketing product manager focuses on the full products, but he or she is more focused towards marketing of the products. A technical product manager, which is what you find in some IT companies, are product managers, but they are more focused on the technical parts. So they still care about the sales of the products, they care about the marketing, they care about the design, but their core focus is working with the engineers. So, I mean, not that I have been a CPM in the past, but I've worked in companies where we had CPMs, and they are almost functioning as a project manager in an IT environment, sort of. So they are always with the team every day. They get updates from the marketing team, from the design team, but their core focus is with the technical team, right? So this is my own interpretation with technical product manager. If that's what you're referring to, I'm not sure, but I just explained what technical product manager is. Is that satisfactory, Jacob?
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Sure.
sir. So I have a question, I think like just to Mr. Ebong. So my first question is, how do you handle like a difficult team member on a team? And my second question is, what is the meaning of PI planning? Because I just heard about it, and I want to get your own explanation of what PI planning is during sprint planning and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that first question sounded like an interview. I mean, I don't think there's a right or wrong way to approach that. But one thing I always advise people, and when I'm asking interview, one thing I always say is you need to learn conflict management. Conflict management has about five styles. I can't remember them now, but I can share them with you. Different strategies to handle conflicts. So there's one where you allow one person feel like he or she won. There's one where you put your foot down and say, no, this is the way to go. There's one where you make two of them feel like two of them won. There's one where, so it's all about implications and, how you make them feel. In certain scenarios, you want them to feel happy because of the results. In certain scenarios, you favor the results more than how they feel. What I always say is you need to understand, first of all, understand these different conflicts strategies. And for each scenario, you need to know the best. There are certain scenarios where it's more important for the team to feel like they won. There are certain scenarios where you look at it like, okay, if the person wins, I don't care about the effect of this on the team. Now, if it's a conflict between two people, then I think the best thing to do is to always engage people. And for you to be that kind of Scrum Master that engages people is you have to be very close with your team. Personally, when I'm in teams, I like to be very close with my team members. And that involves knowing them on a personal level and not just coming to work and being a robot. Now, you notice that when you are that kind of Scrum Master, where you are a people's person, in quotes, when there are issues, it's very easy for you to resolve it because you can talk to good people, understand their POVs, when you have their point of view, you can then look for a good resolution. But if you're the type of Scrum Master who is very robotic, then when I have an issue with you and then Scrum Master is going to talk to me, I'm like, what's this one saying? Do you get? So as much as possible, because there are some places where, the developers are not very open, you have to respect people's boundaries. But as much as possible, you should be as much of a people's person as much as possible. It helps to resolve a lot of in-team conflicts, because then you can literally mediate both parties, understand where they're coming from, and then they want to make the team work because they like you. It's more of a strategy. But yeah, you just make everyone want to do that. PI planning is skilled agile. Funny story, I'm not a fan of skilled agile. And I'm not saying this, I'm saying this because I've spoken to a lot of Scrum Masters, a lot of agile coaches, and sometimes SAFe and Scrum Agile, which is where PI planning comes in, sounds too theoretical to be practical. This is an opinion that I share as well. And so I started looking into SAFe, understanding PI planning, where you plan at a higher level, and cascade down. But as I continue to learn SAFe and skilled agile in that sense, I don't buy the idea. I don't buy what they're preaching, because I just feel it's not practical. So I rather do something as small as Scrum of Scrums, which is very easy to practice and very easy to put into practice and just get results, than to do SAFe or do less and most of those things. So unfortunately, I'm not a fan of SAFe. I don't do PI planning. I just see it theoretically and understand that the whole idea is you're planning from the top level, and then you come down to different team level, and then you have the release train and all those jargons. But in practice, I'm not a fan of it. So fortunately, I can't say that.
All right, thank you, sir. Thanks so much, sir. So I don't know if we still have any other question. So that'll be our last question for today, because we're running out of time. Any other question, please? So I don't think we have any other questions. So I think it's time for the marketing team, Elijah, to tell us more about the Lincoln Global Tech program. So Elijah, over to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Ms. Amen. Good afternoon to everyone, wherever you are. I believe you're doing great, and life, of course, is awesome. All right. Let me give you a story, a very interesting story that actually emphasizes the reason why you should take this to heart. Well, there was actually a young fellow. He had a keen interest of reaching the world, right, of being different. But he had an issue. And the issue he had was that his current environment, the place he found himself in, restricted certain access. The access to quality mentorship, the access to quality networking, the access to the skill set, which of course will make him stand out on the global scale. And now that fellow sat down and was wondering, how am I going to make a difference in this world? I mean, the economy is not favorable. Like my neighbors and my village people, of course, they don't even have my time because he's not significant, he's not relevant. And I was wondering, how am I going to ensure I make a difference? And guess what? His curiosity and his inquisitiveness to be the change in this world led him to look out for programs beyond just conventional learning. He went online and then he started studying, started researching. What can I do to create inventions that will change the world? What can I do to make myself a global talent? These were the questions that were troubling his heart, not only to create solutions, but to become a person of great influence that can impact the human race. And from there, he went on to study books that were not necessarily taught by a teacher to him. He went on to study certain programs, and he advanced further into the frontiers of life. And right now, that wonderful young fellow, he is the lead person of over 9 to about 11 closely related unicorn-based companies in the person of Mr. Elon Musk. Well, tech is the new oil. And most definitely, you need to stand out wherever you are. You have the same access right now. All right. And this is where the Beamcom Global Tech Program comes to give you the advantage. It's a program that is available to both enable you to learn skill, to gain experience, and to gain exposure. You don't need to worry about what necessary, tech path you want to take. We have over 7+ tech paths in that area, whether it is front end, whether you want to go into back end, front end with JavaScript and the family of React and the family of jQuery and the rest, whether it is back end, the family of PHP, SQL, and all those guys, or MongoDB, or whether you want to go into data science or you want to become a project manager, a product developer, or whatever. The Beamcom Global Tech Program is here for you. And all you have to do is to take that initiative. Right now, you're listening to me, and I know you are inspired. Elon Musk actually started from where he was. And just in case you don't know, he was born in Africa, basically South Africa. So from South Africa, and now he's impacting the world with close to 12 massive unicorn-based company. A unicorn-based company is a company that is nearly worth $1 trillion, and he plans on doing much more. If Elon Musk can do it by harnessing the power of tech, by being a global talent, by learning the required skills, by getting the required experience, by becoming a person with the resource exposure, so much so, you likewise, you can become all this. Now is the time of decision making. And all you have to do right now, listening to me, wherever you are, if you're interested, right there where you are, type down your name, type down your email address. A good representative is going to reach out to you from Beamcom. These are Beamcom Global Tech Program. So write down, don't wait, don't wait. Don't say I'll do it later. Later might not be certain. Now is certain. So right where you are, type down your email address. Or maybe you know someone you want to empower also. That same person might be in the village right now, or you believe in someone else's future. Still write down your email address with your name, and if possible with your phone number. But for now, just put only your email address and your name. All right. So right now, don't wait. Don't delay. Delay is dangerous. To be hesitant is to impede progress. So right where you are, type in there your name. Type in there your name and your email address. And you're going to reach out. You're going to reach out to with further information that would, in a way, initiate the process towards you becoming a global talent. You've all heard about PMP. You've all heard about Scrum Master and other stuff. So begin right now where you are. Just type your email address and your name, and you'll be duly followed up. So wait no more. You can type. I think we have over 20 something persons. All right. And I think you saw the previous video that was played. That's actually the Beamcom Global Tech Program. So just write it. Imagine and ask yourself this question. If there was nothing really stopping me from becoming all I could ever become, with respect to everything I've ever envisioned, with the resource information I got from this program, what will I really become? Some of us, we mentioned the different roles we want to get into. Now is the set time. Acquire the skill. So put down your name, put down your email address. All right. So kindly do that now. It's very important. Kindly do that now. Or if peradventure you also have you want to put in the LinkedIn access link through which people can actually connect to you. Good. Thank you, Mr. Tolu. Someone has taken the initiative. Amazing. The power of knowledge is in the action taken after you've received the due information. The power of knowledge is in the action taken after you've received the due information. So that's very, very powerful. And the proof of desire is pursuit. So good. We have someone who has actually penned down his name. Amazing. Come on, we can still do this. We have less than 3 to 4 minutes, right, to do this. So just put it down there. All right. We have Mr. Tolu on the seat. More persons, type now, put your name now, so you can be followed up. All right. You are all amazing. You can all do amazing things. The Become Global Tech program is here for you. It's not about the shouting, it's about the empowerment. It's not about the thinking, it's about the doing. It's not about the wishing, it's about the intentionality in your pursuits. So right now, don't wait. Elon Musk is doing amazing things, so many great things. And hey, you might tell me in Nigeria, you might tell me in Ghana, Gabon, Sierra Leone, wherever. All right, don't let that restrict you. All right, you can still make news right from your home base. You can still make news right from your home base. So put in your full name, or put in your short name, or put in your pseudo name, but most definitely put in your email as well. All right, so we have less than 2 minutes to do this. Okay, so and just in case you want to refer, just in case you want to refer someone as well. All right, and you're wondering, man, I have a brother somewhere. This guy is so techy, so smart, like he's so smart. But sometimes some people can be so smart, so brainy, and yet they are not at the top of their game. Possibly you can be the extension to that person. So still put in your email address, put in your number, or better still, your email address and your full name. Do that right now. So we're going to do that. I'm going to give a countdown next 20 seconds. You don't know what is coming straight at you. Something really resourceful, something really powerful. So 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24. Come on, you can still do it. 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18. Okay, that's 17, 16, 15. You can still do it. 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9. Come on, go, 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 go. 8, decision time. 7, decision time. 6, cover. 5, 4, 3, 2. All right, I think we have more word, and that is that about that. Thank you so much for engaging in due time, and we look forward to seeing every one of us becoming a global talent that the whole world will reckon with, by becoming the first to be reckoned with. Thank you so much, Ms. Amem. I hand back the section to you. Thank you, Mar.
Thank you, Elijah. Well done. I think now we've come to the end of the event. So before we close, I just want to personally thank and appreciate everyone for coming, and especially thank our speakers for today for joining us. And we hope to see you again sometime. I hope you acknowledge our invitation. And yes, I hope we've added to what Elijah just said about Become Global Tech, and we can do the necessary thing by sending her emails and our name to the chat box before we close for today. So I think that's all from me. So yeah, I don't think we have anything else to discuss. So that'll be all from me. So thank you all for coming, and have a beautiful weekend. So we can leave now. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah.
Sayonara, everyone. Adios. All right. I think the live streaming section is still on.
Have you spoken to Tolu? Thank you.